We'll talk about criticism, its methods, approach, contribution, key thinkers, etc. So let's talk about the what would be the criticism that face these kind of schools. So lack of practical solutions, excessive skepticism, undermining the rule of law, emphasizing or can be said overemphasizing the classes. So it makes these kind of criticism which this critical legal school faces. So we can say that it represents a bold and transformative approach to understand law. Once a second. So critical legal school represent a bold and transformative approach to understand law by challenging the myths of neutrality, objectivity, determinacy. It exposes the deep connections between the law, power, and politics. While it may not provide ready-made solutions, its greatest contribution lies in teaching us to question, critique, and rethink the foundations of legal system. So we know that Rawls' theory of justice and the criticism that Robert Nozick libertarian theory and entitlement theory made on it, and also the Amartya Sen's view on the Rawls' theory of justice, they were somewhat the critiques which we see in it. So we see that he criticized it with the utilitarian theory because it contrasted with him. Once the where the Rawls theory was just the opposite and contractual, if we compare it from the Amit Sen view or the Robert Nozick's view, so there's a lot of difference. So once where we see that Rawls supported utilitarian theory, while means Robert Nozick, and where Rawls say that state should do actions to support equality among all though. And Robert Nozick said by his entitlement theory in his book Anarchy, State and Utopia, where he just gave the two justice theories in which three like acquisition, transfer and rectification. It is all about them by which he just refused or said given his critique values against the Rawls theory of justice. And Amar Singh also gave view against the Rawls theory of justice. And if we see that Rawlsian's difference principle remains the cornerstone of modern theories of justice, advocating inequality only when it benefits the least advantaged. While Robert Nozick's libertarian critique challenges the legitimacy of redistributive policies and it emphasizes the individual rights. Yeah, it is, we can say the important point that Robert Nozick emphasized the individual right, whereas Rawls, he emphasized on the collective rights. Whereas Amar Sen expanded conversation by focusing on capabilities and real freedom. These thinkers collectively demonstrate that justice is a complex and contested concept. The idea continued to shape the discussions on social policy, development, and moral foundations of political institutions. By engaging with Rawls, Nozick, and Sane, we gain a deep understanding of how the societies can strive toward fairness, liberty, and human flourishing. And if we see the comparative analysis between the Rawls, Nozick, and Sane's theory of the justice, we can give a one line highlight like Rawls prioritized fairness, and protection of the least advantaged means marginalized section would not face any kind of injustice. He must be given equality through the structured redistribution, like how the resources should be distributed so that everyone gets the equal part or the least advantaged gets the most benefit. Whereas Nozick defends individual liberty and rejects the patterned redistribution. He just says that by his entitlement theory, like whosoever, like if any person, suppose A, B, and C, there are three persons, and A has some kind of property. So if he had acquired it without violating any law, without uh, cheating or any kind of his act, means his way of entitling that property is right. So it is his property. State cannot take his property or put extra taxes on it just because he is on his status. Okay, and justice in transfer and other that one is rectification of justice means suppose if we say there are three persons, A, B, and C. A has kind of property, B has kind of property too, and C has kind of property too. Okay, but what is difference? A has worked so hard for gaining his property. He worked day and night every time, and he has now become rich. And B has taken the property by some illegal means, like it was not his own property originally, but he has taken someone's maybe by decisive method. And C, which he gifted his property to someone, means if XYZ anyone. Now, what the law says that entitlement theory of him, that A who worked so hard for his property that he owned, so he is not wrong. He hadn't do any kind of wrong work by during his acquiring the property. So it is his property. State has no authority to take or snatch his property or put extra taxes on that or to snatch it and give to other section of the marginalized section because he worked hard. When he was working, others may be sleeping or anything. It is his property. And transfer says that if B has kind of property, he gifted it to his son. So if he has acquired that property with goodwill, with his labor, with by not doing any kind of wrong act, so he can gift it to anything. He can gift it to his son or anyone or donate it because it is his property, his will. He can donate it. Only condition is he has acquired it with the goodwill. He has not done any thing that violates the things. And what does the third thing that the C person did? Rectification of injustice. Like if the C person has acquired kind of property with illegal means, like he didn't own that property. He by his decisive method snatched it from someone or by any other legal illegal works. He owned that property. So if we see investigate and found that he was wrong, so state has authority to take it and take steps towards him also. So these are the points that gave the libertarian theory and the entitlement theory of the Robert Nozick in his book Anarchy, State and Utopia. It was kind of contrasting if we see with the Rawls theory of justice, where he said all about equality. And so it is all that Sane emphasized the role of democratic discussion and public reasoning in determining the social priorities rather than focusing on list of principles. He encouraged participatory evaluation of what capabilities matter most in specific context. So these Rawlian's theory, as we discussed earlier, his difference principle is being asked frequently in the examination. So in his book, A Theory of Justice, where he discussed justice as fairness. economic justice and rights governance. So here we see the rights-based justice theory and like natural rights, legal rights, civil and political rights, economic, social and cultural rights, and principles that are involved in it, applications, criticism, everything we are going to say in it. And lastly, how we will conclude if the kind of thing asked in the examination. So let's about talk about the critical legal school or the critical legal studies. So if we see that it emerged in US in 1970s in the initial time, but later it began in or can be said it was seen in other parts of the global world too. Like in India also, it emphasizing effect was seen. ABC, the core principles involve the legal neutrality and indeterminacy, politics, and because it says that law is not a social contract and legitimizing social inequality. The key contribution thinkers involved in it are Roberto Manaberia Unger, Duncan Kennedy, Mark Tushnet, and criticism of it includes that it lacks practical solutions because critique argues that CLS, like that is critical legal school or the studies, is better at criticism than construction, which it is ironical. While it deconstructs legal systems effectively, it offers limited concrete alternatives. And some people say that it undermines the rule of law. Rule of law, means mm, everyone is equal in eyes of law. So by portraying law as politics, critical legal school is accused of weakening public confidence in legal institutions. So some says that it undermines the rule of law. It puts overemphasis on class. Early CLS writings focused heavily on class and economic power, sometimes neglecting issues, culture, identity, and individual agency. Like what if someone asks that what is the relevant of it in contemporary times or in today's world or in Indian context? So we in the modern world characterized by widening economic inequality everywhere. We see that there's no equality. Someone is rich, poor, or any other basis, gender basis or intellectual basis. There are so many things that we see. Yes. So, in the modern world characterized by widening economic inequality, corporate influence, social injustice, PLOB2, and critical legal school remains highly relevant. Debates over judicial activism, judicial overreach, constitutional interpretation, and access to justice reflect critical legal school concerns. In countries like India, CLS insights help analyze how colonial legal structures, socio-economic hierarchies, and political power continue to shape law and justice. Issues such as selective enforcement of laws, inequality before law, and judicial discretion can be better understood through a ढूंढो मैं भी बनाऊंगी हाथ हटाओ बिट्टू कुछ काम है क्या आपको डिजाइन So, issues such as selective enforcement of laws, inequality before law, and judicial discretion can be better understood through a critical legal lens. Bye, Bittu. Although CLS originated in US, its ideas resonate strongly in post-colonial societies. Indian law, with its colonial legacy, on reflects tensions between formal equality and substantive equality or justice. CLS encourages Indian scholars to question whether legal reforms truly empower the marginalized or the merely preserve power structures. So, in general, it plays a crucial role in playing legal thought toward greater honesty, inclusiveness, and social justice. Yeah. Mhm. So, we see that the critical legal school represents a bold transformative approach in determining the law by challenging the myths, objectivity, determinacy. It exposes the deep connections between the law, power, and politics. While it may not provide ready-made solutions, its greatest contributions lies in teaching critique, questioning, rethinking, and which are the foundations of legal systems. Ultimately, the critical legal school reminds us that law is not fixed or sacred entity. It is a human creation capable of change, so it can be changed or the modified whether one agrees with all its conclusions or not. So, if it is for the welfare of the society, so change can be good, and it is for social morality and constitutional justice and morality too. Its greatest contribution lies in teaching us how to question, critique, rethink foundations of the legal system. Ultimately, the critical legal school reminds us that law is not fixed or sacred entity. It's human creation capable of change, whether one agrees with all its conclusion or not. CLS plays a crucial role in pushing legal thought toward greater honesty, inclusiveness, sustainability, and social justice. Guys, so tomorrow is my semester exam. Kindly help me that how to cope up with all those examination. So I don't know. Like tomorrow is my semester exams, and I have to complete still. One unit is left. I've done four of them. So after that, when I'll come, then I'll come back to my studies again in my competitive exam. So yeah.